Have you ever woken up from a dream and wondered what it means? Dreams can feel so real yet so bizarre. They touch our emotions and challenge our understanding. Today, we'll dive deep into the psychology and neuroscience of dreams. Join me as we explore how these two domains interconnect. Dreams have long occupied a peculiar space between poetry and physiology, rich in symbolic resonance, resistant to straightforward measurement, and constantly reshaped by advances in both clinical theory and neuroscience. To understand dreams fully, we must hold two lenses together. One illuminates how subjective significance, personal history, and unconscious dynamics shape the narrative content of dreams. The other reveals the brain systems and neurophysiological processes that generate and scaffold those narratives. Taken together, psychological frameworks and neurological data create a complementary account in which meaning and mechanism are mutually informative rather than mutually exclusive. Psychological frameworks, mapping meaning onto nocturnal narratives. Psychoanalytic and psychodynamic traditions frame dreams as expressions of unconscious wishes, conflicts, and unresolved developmental themes. Freud's notion of manifest versus latent content emphasized that dream imagery disguises underlying drives and anxieties through condensation and displacement. Subsequent ego psychology and object relations perspectives shifted attention toward how dreams reflect self-organization, regulatory strategies, and relational templates, showing, for example, how recurrent dreams often index persistent attachment concerns or chronic emotion regulation patterns. Cognitive and continuity theories recast dreams as extensions of waking cognition. The continuity hypothesis posits that dreaming reflects ongoing concerns, preoccupations, and memory processing. Day residue and perspective elements in dreams demonstrate how waking salience carries into sleep. Threat simulation theory argues that recurrent nightmares may serve an adaptive rehearsal function, simulating threats to improve threat detection and coping. Meanwhile, cognitive models emphasize the role of autobiographical memory networks and problem-solving processes. Dreams recombine episodic fragments, emotional salience, and existing schemas into novel scenarios that may facilitate memory consolidation and creative insight. Across these psychological approaches, common themes emerge. Dreams integrate affective tone, personal meanings, and interpersonal motifs. Recurrent or intense dream content often indexes unresolved emotional material, and dream narratives can function both to reveal and to work through psychological conflicts. Importantly, interpretation benefits from an ideographic stance, linking imagery to the dreamer's life story, patterns of meaning-making, and current stressor, while recognizing that not every bizarre image requires symbolic unpacking. Some arise from lower-level neural processes, see below. Neurological correlates. The brain's architecture of dreaming. Neuroscience locates dreaming within a dynamic interplay of brain states, neurotransmitter milieus, and network activity. Rapid eye movement, REM, sleep is the prototypical dreaming state. It features cortical activation patterns similar to wakefulness in some regions, vivid sensory imagery, rapid eye movements, muscle atonia, and distinctive neuromodulatory signatures, high cholinergic and low aminergic, serotonin, norepinephrine, tone. Functional neuroimaging shows that REM engages limbic and paralimbic structures, amygdala, hippocampus, anterior cingulate, medial prefrontal cortex, that process emotion and memory, while dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, central to metacognition and cognitive control, tends to be hypoactive. This combination supports intense affective simulations with reduced reality testing and reflective oversight, accounting for dreams' emotional vividness and acceptance of implausible scenarios. Non-REM sleep also contributes to dreaming, especially slow-wave sleep, SWS, stages that support memory consolidation through hippocampo-cortical dialogue. Dreams in NREM are often less vivid and more thought-like but can still incorporate salient memories. Nightmares and parasomnias involve distinct neurophysiological disruptions, for example, heightened limbic activation and dysregulated arousal systems, while disorders like REM sleep behavior disorder, RBD, illuminate the neural mechanisms that normally suppress motor output during REM. Bridging the symbolic and the scientific, connecting psychological interpretation with neural mechanisms requires careful translation across explanatory levels. Neural networks provide the raw capacities, emotion reactivity, associative recombination, episodic replay, and reduced executive constraint, that shape the phenomenology of dreams. Psychological meaning arises when these capacities interact with an individual's autobiographical memory, motivational landscape, and developmental history. For instance, a recurrent dream of drowning may reflect hyperactive threat representation in limbic circuits, neuroscience, and simultaneously index attachment-related helplessness or loss narratives, psychology. Effective integrative interpretation does not reduce meaning to mere brain activity nor mystify neural processes as purely symbolic. Instead, it recognizes that neurophysiological dynamics impose constraints and affordances within which symbolic work occurs. Clinical and research implications. This integrative perspective has pragmatic consequences. Clinically, assessing dreams should combine symptom-focused neural awareness, e.g., sleep architecture, medication effects, comorbid sleep disorders, with psychodynamically or cognitively informed exploration of personal meaning. Interventions may therefore operate at multiple levels: pharmacological or behavioral treatments to restore healthy sleep architecture, e.g., treating sleep apnea or stabilizing REM patterns, alongside psychotherapeutic work that addresses the emotional themes and coping patterns evoked by dreams. Research-wise, multimodal studies that pair polysomnography and neuroimaging with detailed dream reports and longitudinal psychological assessment can clarify causal pathways, how sleep stage dynamics, memory processing, and affective tone converge to produce specific dream forms, and how dream content predicts or modifies waking functioning. In summary, dreams neither purely poetic symbols nor mere epiphenomena of random neural firing. They are emergent phenomena arising from the interplay between the brain's physiological states and the mind's history, needs, and narrative structures. Psychological frameworks tell us why particular images might matter to a person. Neuroscience tells us how the brain makes those images vivid and emotionally charged. Integrating both perspectives yields a richer, testable, and clinically actionable account of the nocturnal theater of the mind, one that honors symbolic depth while grounding interpretation in the brain's known architectures and dynamics. Now that you see dreams in a new light, it's time to explore your own. Keep a dream journal to analyze recurring themes. Subscribe for more insights on psychology and neuroscience. Stay curious, and sleep well.